for the internship information session. My name is Rebecca Wright. I'm the internship manager in the career development office. And I also have Meg, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Meg, the student outreach manager at Career Development.
So we're going to give an overview of the internship program at MassArt. And we'll take questions at the end, but if you have any questions along the way, you can pop them in the chat. Meg will monitor that and answer if possible. Otherwise, we'll just kind of address things towards the end. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to jump right into my presentation. Let me share my screen. Okay. So today I'm going to cover the internship program at MassArt and its structure and the requirements, and then a little bit of information about getting an internship in the process, including resumes, samples of work, looking for an internship and resources that are available. And then at the end, I'll talk about the $2,000 Internship Awards. And then we'll wrap up with some questions after that. So that's just a little bit about what we're going to cover. We have some other workshops planned this semester that go more in depth on things like resumes and interviews. So if you have questions about that, we'll show you our schedule during this presentation, so you can check those out as well. So at MassArt, while you are a student, you're eligible to do an internship for academic credit. So for undergraduate students, we usually recommend that you do 1 to 2 internships before you graduate. And we say before you graduate because as a student, your student status is very valuable to employers, because many of them, when they're hiring an intern, they require that their interns are current students. So it's good to do that now, because once you graduate, there will be fewer opportunities. There will be some, but there'll be fewer. So you want to make sure that you take advantage while you are currently a student. Most students do internships after completing sophomore year through their senior year. And sophomore year is your first year in your major. So that's kind of when you're getting your first foundation classes in your major that would be helpful for an internship. There are exceptions to this. So there are other times you can do an internship, like after foundation year. That has happened sometimes, but typically an internship is related to a major and is usually after sophomore year is when most students would do it. So the word internship is often kind of used very broadly and generally to just mean like a student interning with a company. When it comes to an internship for academic credit, there's more of a structure there, and MassArt is a part of the equation. So it's not just a student and company, it's a student, the company, and a mentor at the company, and then MassArt there is there to support the experience and make sure it's educational. So at MassArt, we have a specific definition of what can qualify as an internship for credit, and the primary requirement for that is that it's mentored by an industry professional. So that means you're working with a professional artist or designer or someone like that in a field you're interested in learning about. And you're kind of shadowing them as they as they work. So you're kind of learning about a career path. The company itself should be an established company, organization, or a studio practice in the case of a studio assistant internship. So you want to work with an established company or professional generally. And then the training that would be done during the internship would be pre-professional in nature. So you are learning things that would be helpful for you as you start your career after your time at MassArt. So the basics are, if you're registering an internship for credit, it's 3 elective credits. It counts towards graduation requirements. And then in terms of meeting credit, you need to do a certain number of internship hours. So the minimum hours to qualify for credit is 135 within a 15-week semester. And if you're spreading that out for a whole semester, it's about 9 hours a week. Most students during the fall and spring semesters intern about 10 to 20 hours a week, and then summer is a little more flexible. So it could be 10 hours a week up to 40 hours a week. And that's just something you can work out with the employer, and it depends on your schedule and what amount of time you want to spend at the internship. But as long as you meet that 135 hours, that's what MassArt is looking for, and you can do more. An internship, because it's registered for credit, it's then a class. It has to align with MassArt's academic semesters, so that would be fall, spring, or summer semesters. And the schedule, like I said, the schedule is flexible, depending on what you and the employer want, as long as you meet those minimum hours. So one of the common questions about internship is in terms of paid internships. So you can get credit for either a paid or unpaid internship. And there are paid internships out there, and you can still register those for credit. So just know that it is possible to do a paid internship and also get credit. The other thing to know is that for undergraduate students, if you're doing a summer internship, there is no charge for registering a summer internship for credit. So you just have to register at the start of the summer, at the start of the internship, but there's no charge for a credit-bearing summer internship. So the internship deadlines, this is very important to know about, because you can't get credit for an internship after you're done with the internship. You have to register at the start of the internship and at the start of the semester. So generally, you would register by the add-drop deadline, just like classes. For summer, to be considered for the $2,000 award, you need to register by May 19th. But you can still possibly register your summer internship for credit through June 16th, but that would be for academic credit only. So May 19th is the date you want to think about for consideration for the $2,000 award. So a little bit about why credit is important. So the first thing is, if you need elective credits, that can be very helpful. But also, if you're registering an internship for credit, you're getting support from MassArt. We know when you register, career development is there to kind of help you, but also your faculty are there. They're looking at the internship and making sure it's an educational experience and kind of reviewing it to see if it's good for credit. Also, when you're registered for credit, there is feedback and documentation of your internship from you and your supervisor. So you will be completing a midterm and final evaluation, and so will your supervisor during the course of the internship. And that's what your faculty in your department are going to review when they give you a grade at the end of the semester. So that kind of structures a little bit of the feedback during the experience. And then also, in order to be eligible for the $2,000 award, you have to register for credit. So a little bit about getting an internship. So in order to get an internship, there's you basically are going to search for an internship and apply just like you would for a job. It's the same process that you will do once you graduate from MassArt and start looking for jobs. So you're going to start out by preparing and planning what you're going to do. That means writing a resume, and then starting to decide where you're going to apply. If you are offered an internship, then you would finalize that and then register for credit. And this is also what you do before you actually start the internship. So this is a little bit of the time frame of when you want to start thinking about doing an internship. Right now, we're in the kind of the blue kind of middle section for summer internships, and March is a good time to start searching and applying for internships. Many employers are posting opportunities, are actively hiring, and getting closer to April and May, employers will start getting more finalizing who they're going to hire, doing interviews. And every employer, they have a little bit of a different schedule, so it kind of depends on who you are applying to. So some may hire as late as end of May, some may have hired in February. You don't know. So it's good to just kind of start your search process and kind of look for any deadlines that employers are posting, and just know that it's kind of a rolling basis, and to keep track of whatever sort of time frame they may include in their internship postings. There are, like I said, there are some employers who hire much earlier for summer internships. So that's something to kind of be aware of. So every place you apply for is going to ask for a resume. What I recommend is just starting a draft of a resume, putting all your experience down on paper. It doesn't have to be exact. It can be long and rambly. That's totally fine. We have templates on our website that you can start with. They're Google documents. You can just copy them and then kind of adapt them to your own experience. And then once you have a rough draft of your resume, you can schedule a resume critique with me through Handshake. And that's just to kind of get some kind of outside perspective on how to shape your resume and make it helpful for the internship you're applying for. And then after that, you'd finalize it. Many students like to design or kind of make their resume sort of visually pleasing. I recommend doing that as the last step, just because you want to get the content done first and then focus on the design as the last step. And again, you don't necessarily need a designed resume because, everything is, you're starting with that text, and that's really the main thing the employers are looking for, is what is on that resume. So cover letter. So this question comes up quite a bit. And some employers ask for a cover letter. Some employers don't mention that. Some say don't send a cover letter. But generally, you want to write a cover letter. And this is partly because when you're applying for an internship, you're usually applying via email or through an online site, but you're not there to introduce yourself, say what you're applying for, or direct your application to the best person. So the cover letter is basically there to kind of serve that purpose. So it's just good to always send some sort of message or introduction to what you're applying for with your resume. And usually it kind of introduces what you're applying for, what skills you have that are related to what they're hiring for, and connects your resume to the position. Sometimes if you're applying via email, the cover letter is the email itself, and you would attach your resume. Some places you will upload a PDF of a resume and a cover letter. So it comes in a couple different formats, but there would usually always be a message that kind of accompanies your resume when you apply. So another just thing to think of when you're sending out a resume, especially if you're making a designed resume, you can also do the same thing with your cover letter and make it match whatever visual appearance you have to your resume, and it kind of makes a nice little package when you send that out. So some questions about portfolio often come up, but one thing to know is that when you're applying for internships, not every employer is looking for a portfolio or samples of your work. So first, think about the job you're applying for, what sort of skills they're asking for. If it's a design internship and you're doing design, then most likely we'll probably want to see some samples of your work. If it's a gallery internship and it's mostly kind of administrative or planning events or hanging art, they're probably not going to look for samples of your work, and they might just look at your resume. So that's usually the first thing to know when it comes to thinking about your portfolio, is not every employer looks for that. But generally the purpose of having samples of your work is demonstrating the skills the employer wants. So, and here's an example. If the employer is seeking a motion graphics designer, you might want to have samples from a motion graphics course you took. So you want to kind of think of what the employer is looking for and then have some samples that match. And I'm saying samples because obviously you're a current student and you're probably working on your portfolio as that senior project. And so as you're applying for internships, it's mostly about samples of your work, not a full-fledged portfolio that you would share with an employer as you apply for internships. So when you are sharing samples of your work, it's good to keep it short and simple and use a platform like Behance.net, which makes it easy to organize your work, and you can prioritize what's most relevant to the jobs you're applying for or the internships you're applying for. And you don't want to put all your work, you want to just keep it simple. So 3 to 9 projects, no more than 10. It's helpful to include process work because often employers are looking to kind of see how you got to that final result, not just the final product. And you can use captions to describe it, to describe what they're looking at and kind of help them see kind of the work that you did. And Behance.net is free. It's owned by Adobe. So it's something that you don't necessarily need to design a website or buy a domain. You can just sign up and start uploading your work and make a professional profile on that. So just an idea of if you're putting together some samples of your work, generally sophomore year, you're including some basic skills and components from your classes that year, including process work. You can include sketchbook images, and sometimes if you have personal work, you can include that as well, but that's not necessary at that stage. And then junior year, you're adding more work because you're getting more skills in your major and showing more versatility process, and also developing your own personal style. And then senior year, you're definitely going to get much more work that is representative of who you are. You still may find that even senior year and beyond, those skills you developed sophomore year will still come back. So you still, you're just really mostly adding to your samples of your work as you kind of go through your time at Mass Art. So on Handshake, Handshake is the best place to start looking for internships, and it's generally going to be a keyword search. Let me actually kind of switch and kind of actually do a demo at this point. One sec. So when you start looking for internships, Handshake should be the first place that you start looking for opportunities. Anytime that career development has an employer who reaches out to us and wants to hire from Mass Art, we have them post directly on Handshake, so you all have access to everything that we know about. So when you go into Handshake, you're going to go to jobs. And it's going to be a keyword search. So that could be your major, like animation, but it could also be software like Toon Boom. So you can try that. You can also put in words like character, story, concept. Let me try character. So sometimes it's playing with keywords to find things that you like, but you want to kind of think a little bit beyond just your major and think about areas you're interested in within your major or beyond, programs, kind of different types of things. So you'll start seeing things that have the word character in it. So what it's doing, it's combing the entire job description for that word. So you'll start seeing things pop up. You can narrow it down more than that. You can narrow it down to your internships, on-site or remote. Sometimes it's good to kind of leave it general just to see what you get. Also, once you put in the criteria you want, you can do save your search. So that means that anytime a new internship comes into Handshake that meets your criteria, you're going to get an email or other alert. So this can be really helpful because we're getting new job postings and internship postings every single day. So the opportunities on Handshake are always changing. So when you're looking at an internship, you want to pay attention to application deadlines, the description. You want to make sure you open the full description and kind of read everything of what they're looking for. And that will kind of give you more information. And then there's an apply button. One thing to note is that even if an internship has an application deadline that's May 31st, know that sometimes they're hiring on a rolling basis. This internship's been posted since February, so they may have already had applicants. They may be reviewing resumes already. So I usually recommend don't wait until the last minute to apply. Apply as early as you're able to, just because you never know kind of how they're approaching resumes, and they might be actively interviewing already. So it's just good to kind of be ahead of the game versus waiting until the deadline. If you like a posting, you can save it. So that way you can return back to it when you're ready to apply. So those are just some tips on finding an internship on Handshake. I'm going to go back to my slides. So when you're looking for internships, you can start with Handshake, but you can also look on other job boards as well. You're not limited to what's on Handshake. So you can look on places like Indeed.com, and Indeed, it's a job posting aggregator. So they take postings from all different sites and put it in one place. Also, higherculture.org is a local search or job board for creative industries. So you're going to see a lot of museum jobs there and other sorts of things. So I recommend that as well. There's also professional associations for some areas like graphic design and illustration. Sometimes those places have job boards of their own. So there's different places you can look. You can also, if there's companies you're interested in, you don't necessarily have to wait for them to post on Handshake or a job board. You can go directly to their website. Sometimes they have a page on their website that kind of talks about how to apply for internships, and it might be something they have up all the time. So I recommend, just like if you're searching for companies, just go directly there, look in on their website for anything that mentions internships, jobs, careers. They might have information right there, and you can just go directly to them. And then also, as you start looking for opportunities and applying, you may have questions. So career development, we are here to help you throughout the process. So we do one-on-one advising for jobs or internships. So if you're running into some obstacles with your internship search or have questions or need help with your strategy, that's something that you can reach out to us and have a meeting about. We post job and internship listings on Handshake, and we also manage the internship program, so we can answer questions about that. And if you have a rough draft of your resume and you're looking to kind of update it for applying for internships, you can make a resume critique appointment with us. So our website is massart.edu career development, and we have resources there, also how to log in. So let me actually switch back to our website because I want to show one other thing. So our website, to go to Handshake, you can log in here, but we also have other resources, like I mentioned, resume templates. If you go to the resources section, this will give you kind of all the resources we have available on our website. You can go to our top resources. So our number one requested resource is a basic resume template, and the second most requested one is cover letter guide. So this is right there at the top of our resources page, and we do have some other things as well. You can also go to the resume and cover letter section. We have even more resume resources and more templates. So this is on our website for you to use anytime. And then we also have other information on our website, including information about the internship program as well. And like I said, we do have upcoming events for other parts of the process, including resumes and interviewing. So you can go to the calendar anytime and see upcoming events. So we have Application Savvy coming up on the 19th of April, and Interviewing Skills coming up on April 26th. So that's on our homepage. So last, I'm going to cover the $2,000 Internship Awards. So the $2,000 Internship Awards, the deadline to register an internship to be in consideration for the award is May 19th. There's no application for the $2,000 awards. What happens is any student who has registered an internship this academic year, that means this past fall, the spring, or this upcoming summer, is in automatic consideration for the $2,000 Internship Award. So your goal should be focused on getting an internship and registering it by May 19th. The award is need-based, and it's going to be kind of given based on your kind of financial aid or financial package, but there's quite a few awards. Last year we gave out 48. So even if you're not you don't have financial aid, you still should register your internship, and because you could be in consideration for this as well. This is for undergraduate students specifically, and also students who don't have a previous BFA. The other thing to be considered for it is to make sure you have a current FAFSA on file, because we once May 19th comes, we send the list of students who have registered internships to financial aid, and they use the FAFSA to determine kind of who will get the award. And both paid and unpaid internships qualify. So even if you have a paid internship, you still want to register for credit, because you can still be in consideration for this award. And the awards are the recipients for the award will be selected in June. So it might be after you've already started your internship or even finished an internship if you did a fall or spring internship, but you'll hear in June. So that's just a quick overview. I know there's probably questions. So I'm gonna open it up for any questions people have. Meg, were there any questions in the chat while I was during the presentation?
We don't have any questions in the chat so far.
Okay. Okay, cool. So does anyone have any questions? I know I threw a lot of information at you. I'm sure there's at least a couple.
Hi, I have a question.
Sure.
So I have like a resume that I made last time we had like a job fair.
Okay.
But should I like look for like a certain internship first and like kind of cater what I write on it to that internship before I go for the critique, or should I go for the critique like within like this week because I already have it finished?
You're usually not going to cater your resume too much to each job or internship you're applying for, unless they're in like totally different industries. I would recommend getting a critique sooner before you start applying, and then kind of going from there.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? You can drop them in the chat or unmute yourself.
Hi, I had a question.
Sure.
So I was just wondering if I live in California, and if I were to take an internship that was based in California, would it still count towards my master credit?
Yes. So internships can be anywhere in the United States. And also the benefit of Handshake is Handshake, when an employer posts, they're posting at schools all over the country. So we're getting internships in California posted on Handshake. So you can just use the filters, kind of focus the location down to the area that you're looking. But also if you're not seeing as much on Handshake as you'd like, you can also look outside of Handshake. But yes, location is open to anywhere in the United States.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, so there's a question in the chat about eligibility for the awards. Yes, to be considered for the $2,000 awards, you have to confirm an internship and apply for credit by May 19th. So that's kind of the cutoff to be considered. But there is some time, and employers are still looking. So it is still possible. Oh, Josh asked a good question about how to schedule a meeting with us. So let me just show how to do that. It is going to be through Handshake. Let me just kind of give a visual, because that helps all of us. So if you're on Handshake and you want to make an internship advising appointment or career resume critique, you can go into Handshake and just look for the Career Center in the upper right corner. And then you'll see appointments show up. And then schedule new appointment. And you're going to pick student appointment. And you can pick the appointment type internship questions or cover letter critique. Those are the most popular one. And then you can just pick a time, pick a day and a time, and it'll just show you what slots are there. And these are all virtual. And then you put a note of what you're looking for, and then you do request, and it's automatically confirmed. So this is something you can do anytime, but it's quick and easy to do through Handshake. And then Josh also asked if the awards are guaranteed, but if you apply by May 19th, the $2,000 internship awards are not, there's no guarantee you will get it. So it's based on it's need based. So it depends on kind of financial background and also who else is registered in an internship. So it's not guaranteed, but because there's a large number of awards, it is a good possibility. So it's definitely recommended to register for credit if you're doing an internship, so you're in consideration for that.
Do you want to mention how many awards were given last year? Just as
yeah, 48 awards were given last year. So it's not just one award, it's a lot of awards. So yeah, definitely something you want to have in mind as you look for internships, because it can be a big help.
Hi, I have another question.
Sure.
Yeah, so just to clarify, are internships required as a whole in order to graduate?
No, so internships are not required. It's an elective. Some majors are pretty close to required, like I think communication design highly encourages them. But there's no major that is actually required to graduate.
Okay, cool. Just curious. Thank you.
Okay, so Gabrielle has a question of how to register an internship. So I will share my screen again. So again, if you haven't, say you have a confirmed internship, you're going to go to Career Center and experiences. Handshake uses the term experiences for internships because it covers different types of experiences. And then you're going to do requests and experience. And it's going to give you the form, and it's basically going to ask you all the information that is needed in order to register an internship. So whether you found the internship on Handshake or on your own, it doesn't matter. The process is all the same. You're going to just go in and select internship, the term. Right now, summer internship registration hasn't opened, so we don't have a term open right now, but that's going to open on April 3rd. So that's when you can start registering a summer internship. And then you're just filling out the employer information, their location, the contact information, and then it's going to ask you information just as a student to kind of go into more detail about what you want to learn about the internship and what you're doing at the internship. And that's what your faculty are going to be looking at and when they decide whether they're going to approve credit for your internship. So the information is all in here, and it's generally pretty straightforward, but you want to also be thoughtful when you kind of fill out the written answer questions, because that is what is going to kind of determine whether the faculty decide to approve credit. Usually they approve most internships, but also sometimes if there's not enough information, we will ask for more info for them to kind of help review for credit. Any other questions?
So this is just I asked this in the chat, but you must have missed it or something, but you might have answered this before, but where does the recording for this session found after the fact?
So we typically will send out an email to everyone who RSVP'd through Handshake with a direct link.
Okay.
But also we do have on our website a link to our YouTube channel, and we'll have like previous recordings there. So if you go to our website to resources, and then there's a number, the third bullet is recorded webinars, and it will take you to
Okay,
our
thank you.
YouTube channel. So it's,
Mhm.
and that can be helpful. Like sometimes like we have an interviewing workshop coming up, but maybe you have an interview before then and you want to look at a previous recording. You can always do that. Most of the information for our recordings is the same year to year. The deadlines and dates just
Yeah.
change, but the rest of it can be helpful. So it's always up there for everyone to
Thank you.
access.
Also, do you have like any advice for like figuring out like whether an internship like caters to your like focus as a student and major?
I think that's kind of like it really might depend on the internship and the student because all of you are unique.
Fair enough.
So if you have questions about what sorts of internships you might want to explore, or ideas, or you're not sure where to start, that's definitely a good sort of like reason to sort of make an appointment with us for internship advising, because we can kind of talk about your major, what things you like, what you might want to learn, and kind of explore what companies might be of interest or what areas might be of interest for an internship. So
Thank you.
that would be what I would recommend.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So if there's no other questions, I'll let you go, but I'll put my email in the chat in case any of you want to kind of connect with me outside of this presentation with any questions you might have. So my email's in the chat, but thank you all for coming, and good luck with your internship search.
Thank you.